Welcome to East Rising, a show dedicated to developing Eastern North Carolina into an economic powerhouse by promoting STEM education to prepare our workforce for current and future opportunities right here. This 30-minute program speaks to stakeholders of education, industry, and development to find out what is going on and how it can keep our homegrown talent blooming where they were planted, right here in Eastern North Carolina. Now here's your host, Henry Hinton.
And good evening and welcome to another episode of East Rising, which is sponsored by the NC East Alliance. This is a program dedicated to talking about the mission of the Alliance, which is really working very hard at the moment to educate teachers and educate people all over Eastern North Carolina about the opportunities that exist in employment and lifestyle here in Eastern North Carolina, which is what they're doing a great job of promoting. Tonight on the program, we're going to have two interviews that were previously aired on Talk of the Town. Wesley Beddard, who is the former president of Martin Community College, who has recently gone to work for the NC East Alliance in engagement, is going to be on the program tonight talking about his role in educating people across Eastern North Carolina, particularly in the world of education, about these opportunities. And also an interesting interview with Mark Meno, who is the executive director of the Fleet Readiness Center East in Havelock at Cherry Point. He and Trey Goodson from the Alliance were recently on Talk of the Town with me, talking about some of the great opportunities in Eastern North Carolina using the Fleet Readiness Center as an example. So here we go. Here's tonight's East Rising.
The NC East Alliance is a regional economic development organization representing 29 counties in Eastern North Carolina. NC East leads advocacy efforts in the region by convening stakeholders to identify important regional challenges and to ultimately pursue solutions to these challenges. NC East Alliance has a history of economic development in Eastern North Carolina since the early 1990s. The organization, as it is known today, is the result of a merger of the Northeast Partnership and the Eastern Partnership in 2014. NC East Alliance has marketed Eastern North Carolina as a diverse regional home to a variety of established industries, including agriculture, aviation, pharmaceuticals, boat building, healthcare, and many others. NC East staff recruited companies from around the world and sold them on the opportunity of locating their operations in an affordable region with a high quality of life. Over the years, NC East has facilitated over 100 company visits to the region, showcasing each county's assets. Many of these visits were international companies looking to establish a presence in the United States. NC East Alliance is the only regional economic development organization focusing on teachers as a workforce. The teachers of Eastern North Carolina are a critical economic development asset of the region as they teach and train our regional homegrown workforce of the future. The development of a homegrown workforce in tandem with marketing and talent attraction is critical to support the continued recruitment of industry to the region. The NC East Alliance is at the front of this coordination.
Trey Goodson is back with us. Trey's the Director of Economic Development and Chief Information Officer for the NC East Alliance. Good morning, Trey. How are you?
Good morning, Henry. Happy Friday.
And we have a special guest this morning, Mark Meno, who is the Director of FRC East on the base at Cherry Point. I'm going to let you kind of welcome, Mark. Good to see you.
Well, thank you.
But Trey, I'm going to let you kind of explain. We've talked about the mission and the new goals of the Alliance, the NC East Alliance, to connect education and industry, and to really one of the main goals here is to make people aware of the job opportunities and create job opportunities in Eastern North Carolina to keep our kids here at home, right? We're losing a lot of our kids that want to go to Raleigh and work because they think they can make a bigger salary, but then they get there and realize the cost of living is twice what it would be here in Eastern North Carolina.
Correct.
So tell us about Mark and FRC East and how they fit into what you're talking about.
Correct. And real quick, I want to kind of do a quick recap of what we've done so far. And like you said, Henry, the main core of this mission is to build awareness of job opportunities and industries in Eastern North Carolina among the teachers of Eastern North Carolina. So we've had Dr. Ethan Linker from Pitt County Schools, the K-12 portion, talk about that aspect. We've had Wesley Beddard, the retired president from Martin Community College, talk about that aspect from the community colleges. And we've also had the economic development perspective from some guy named Trey. Not sure if he knows much about economic development, but you know, it's important. It's critical. And economic development is going to be the interface between the education side and the industry side. And finally, what we're going to do for the rest of the summer is highlight the major industries of Eastern North Carolina. This first series will be on aviation and airspace, which is a very significant industry in the region. And we have the biggest player within that industry here today with us, Mark Meno, who is the executive director of Fleet Readiness Center East. And with that, Henry, I don't know if you want to introduce Mark, but we'll turn it over to him.
Well, first of all, Mark, again, welcome. But tell us what FRC East is and what it is you do.
So Fleet Readiness Center East is one of 3 major maintenance, repair, overhaul, technical service DoD facilities in the Navy Marine Corps. That was a lot of words. What that means is aircraft engines and components that are in the Navy Marine Corps inventory have to be repaired and maintained, obviously, over their life cycle. They are all brought into a facility like ours periodically and fixed. Fixed means repaired. Repairs are developed. We have artisans, we have engineers, technical services. That's essentially a good description of what we do. The other 2 facilities, one in Jacksonville, Florida, one in San Diego, California, we're uniquely positioned here because we have a pretty ready workforce. We have room to grow and expand. Some of what Trey talked about really sets us up pretty well as one of those 3 facilities. One more important thing to understand is, unlike most government organizations, we're all DoD civilians, but unlike most government organizations, we are a business, meaning we are not appropriated any funding. We have to compete for our work, set our rates, be competitive, perform well. If we do, we get more work. If we don't, we get less work.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you're not a government entity, right?
We are all DoD government employees, so we are a Department of Navy facility.
Right.
We have a few military leadership folks. Our commanding officer and executive officer are Navy captains or Marine Corps colonels, depending on who's slated into those. But the 4,000 employees are about 40% veterans, but all civilians. And DoD, we get our paycheck from the Navy.
And for the purposes of what we're talking about with the NC East Alliance and what we're talking about jobs and what kind of jobs there are. So tell us, I mean, you guys are one of the big dogs.
Yes, we are.
East of Raleigh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Biggest industrial employer east of 95.
So tell us what that means for the workforce in Eastern North Carolina.
So a couple key stats that I think are important. Our average salary is about $75,000 a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Craven County's is about $45,000 a year. So that's the county we're in. Just as a comparative of inside and outside the facility from a pay perspective, 80% of our jobs are technical, but only 40% require a degree. So engineers, our financial accounting folks, our lawyers, those are where you would expect the degrees, but 80% of those jobs are technical. So sheet metal mechanic, composite repair, avionics technicians, our IT staff, all of those folks are technical jobs, but don't require a degree. And that's really a sweet spot that Eastern North Carolina is positioned well for compared to our 2 sister facilities and the ones in the Air Force, as well as the Army. There's 7 total in DoD, 3 in Navy Marine Corps. We're positioned really well with the workforce we have here to continue to have a good population flowing in that want to do technical work and may or may not want to go off and get a 4-year degree.
And Trey, from the perspective of what the Alliance is trying to do here, this is a perfect example right here of some really well-paying jobs here in Eastern North Carolina. And you know, interestingly, a lot of them don't even require a college degree. So that's what you're all about right now, right?
Exactly. Trying to get students and everyone in Eastern North Carolina to understand that these are high-paying jobs. That's $30,000 above the average salary in Craven County. That's absolutely incredible. And $75,000 in anywhere in Eastern North Carolina, even here in Greenville, will take you very, very far. And he said 40% of the jobs don't require a degree. I think generally in all of Eastern North Carolina, 70% of the jobs that exist don't require a degree.
Has there been an economic impact study done to say, you know, at a $75,000 salary, what that would really be worth compared to a job in Raleigh? When it comes to what your actually cost of living is and how much you're actually going to keep of that money?
Yeah, and there's different websites you can look at. I think City Data is a great one to go to, where you can do comparisons of a salary in Eastern North Carolina versus Raleigh, and it's significant. I think the other day, don't quote me on this, but the other day we looked at Kinston, North Carolina, $50,000 versus Raleigh, North Carolina, and I believe that $50,000 value in Kinston is actually $63,000 a year versus Raleigh, because your money goes much further in Kinston, North Carolina than it does in Raleigh.
Again, if you're just joining us, Mark Meno is the director of the Fleet Readiness Center at Cherry Point here in Eastern North Carolina. I think you said 4,000 jobs?
There are 4,000 employees, yes, sir.
Do you have trouble finding people? Do you have trouble recruiting?
I wouldn't say trouble. I think that what you see going on across the U.S. when they talk about high trade or high technical trade positions and the availability of those individuals, we're starting to see a strain on the market. We can get engineers to come here. We were talking before, I think we have over 50 ECU grad engineers that work for us.
Oh, wow, that's great.
NC State, as you can imagine, in the hundreds. My alma mater, Virginia Tech, we have close to 100. So we have 1,200-ish engineers in that 4,000. That's typically not a problem to get them in. But we're starting to find a little bit of a strain in the technical degrees arena, or the technical skills arena. So we want our workforce to come in that has a little bit of mechanical inclination already, and that's not as prevalent as it used to be. So that's becoming a little bit of a challenge for us. Some of what we're working with and have talked about as we work back into the teachers, which we should probably talk about, is to try to provide some context for the students before they lose the interest in pursuing that technical path. Here's what you can do with this interest you have. Here's some context. Now go develop a few more skills while you still are in a K-12 pipeline, so you can come into a job like one we have.
Boy, it's great to hear there are 50 ECU engineers, because, you know, the engineering program at ECU is very, very young.
Correct.
I mean, I actually was on the Board of Governors when that was, I made the motion to start the School of Engineering. It wasn't my idea, of course, because the great Dr. Alan White, which you probably know, Trey, was pushing to get that program started, and we supported it, and went to NC State and got their support on it, because I remember the chancellor at NC State, Randy Woodson, telling me, hey, look, we can't have enough engineers, and we can't educate all the engineers that are needed in North Carolina. So here's a perfect example of that. We got ECU kids going to Cherry Point to work for you guys as engineers. That's great stuff. Back to the teacher aspect. We need to educate the teachers, right? We need the teachers in Eastern North Carolina to understand what's available at places like your operation.
Yeah, so I'll start that, and I'm sure Trey will want to fill in. So we've been working back into the K-12 population for a while. We have things like a full pull trailer fab lab that we take to schools and work with teachers. We try to create awareness. But what was missing in my mind that is an interesting aspect here is curriculum context. Putting some context with the curriculum. And the biggest marketing entity that we have as a business is the teachers. They're the ones standing in front of the students every day and walking them through the K-12 process and giving them context along the way. So last summer, and Trey can build on this, we had 2 teachers come in full-time and work with us all summer. They were paid, and they developed curriculum. And at the end of that process, they taught that curriculum they developed to a cadre of other teachers in the region that then we're going to go out and teach that curriculum to middle school students. So it gives context all the way out through to the classroom.
A really interesting conversation with Mark Meno, who's the director of the Fleet Readiness Center East, which is the aviation aeronautics program, I was about to say private contractor operation on the bed, but that wouldn't be right, would it?
It wouldn't. That's okay, though.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Mark is with FRC East. We'll get back into that in a second. But, Trey, we were talking about, how this connects to the mission of the Alliance and what you're trying to do, which is keep the kids in Eastern North Carolina, make people aware that there are great jobs right here in Eastern North Carolina, so we don't have to keep hearing, like we've heard for the last 30 years, is that I've got to go to Wake County to get a decent salary, which is not true. But getting that word out is important, which is one of the things that you're working on right now with the public schools.
Correct, and we're trying to hit it at a lot of different angles, but obviously the core of the mission is training the teachers on what exists, and we talk about a lot it's an issue everywhere all over the country. I mean, people aren't aware of what opportunities exist in their community. And so you kind of have to identify who those influencers are that can work with students or just the general population, to make sure people are aware of those opportunities. And we identified the teachers as the most important person in many people's lives. And so we think they are the core or the key to making sure we get the word out and help our students understand that there are opportunities in Eastern North Carolina, very well paying opportunities in Eastern North Carolina that these students can pursue, and teachers are the best ones to communicate that. And through these workshops, as Mark was kind of mentioning, each teacher that attends these workshops, say in aviation or aerospace, will learn a lesson plan, how to incorporate what they learned about FRC East into their lesson plan, into their curriculum, so they don't have to go back and develop that lesson plan themselves. We give that to them so they can go and take it and incorporate it into their classrooms. That's the special part of these workshops.
Really great stuff. Really great stuff. And Mark, when someone comes to you and gets employed there, is the training, obviously if you're hiring an engineer, that's a different animal, but if you're bringing in some of these other technical skills, are you training them on the job?
Yeah, we have apprentice programs of a variety of types. While we were talking earlier, we've started back up our high school apprentice program. So last year we brought 18 rising high school seniors in to work in our facility, machinists, airframers, sheet metal mechanics, whatever. And we moved them around almost as a 3-month mutual interview. They got to see, is this a career maybe I want? And we got to go look, we got to kind of assess, is this somebody that's going to be a reliable, good, interested employee someday? This year we're going to have 50 because of how well that went last year. And we've expanded it now into human resources and IT, and our legal staff will have somebody helping them out. But the intent with that program is the beginning of our apprenticeship program. So that is part of our pipeline. When they come in, they receive all the training they need. We partner with the community college. Craven's Havelock campus is a driver and a short iron from our fence line. So it's right there, and we leverage that. They have a good aviation training program. They take care of some of the classes. We take care of some of the classes. What we really need from them is an interest in doing the work. They want to stay local, and they've got a little bit of mechanical inclination associated with whatever field they're going to go into, and we'll take it from there.
So if a parent's listening right now, hopefully the kids are in school, but if a parent's listening right now and say, you know what, I want to make sure my kid hears about this and learns about it, what's the best angle? What's the best avenue to do that?
There's probably a lot. We're doing a lot in a lot of the local schools, so I'd be surprised even if their kid's not coming home and talking to their parents like I didn't with mine, that they don't know about us because of the access we've been granted into the schools and the partnering we're doing with the schools. But you go on our website, you go search FRC East and Google it, you come to our website, you can find out that. Within that's all the contacts you need to learn more. You can search anywhere. You can go on YouTube and watch videos. Our public affairs group is really good. Go on Facebook, follow us there. They can see what's going on, and that's going to include job fairs and places we're going to be at various schools and events. So if nothing else, they can show up to some of those to learn more.
The NC East Alliance is a regional economic development organization representing 29 counties in eastern North Carolina. NC East leads advocacy efforts in the region by convening stakeholders to identify important regional challenges and to ultimately pursue solutions to these challenges. NC East Alliance has a history of economic development in eastern North Carolina since the early 1990s. The organization, as it is known today, is the result of a merger of the Northeast Partnership and the Eastern Partnership in 2014. NC East Alliance has marketed eastern North Carolina as a diverse regional home to a variety of established industries including agriculture, aviation, pharmaceuticals, boat building, healthcare, and many others. NC East staff recruited companies from around the world and sold them on the opportunity of locating their operations in an affordable region with a high quality of life. Over the years, NC East has facilitated over 100 company visits to the region, showcasing each county's assets. Many of these visits were international companies looking to establish a presence in the United States. NC East Alliance is the only regional economic development organization focusing on teachers as a workforce. The teachers of eastern North Carolina are a critical economic development asset of the region as they teach and train our regional homegrown workforce of the future. The development of a homegrown workforce in tandem with marketing and talent attraction is critical to support the continued recruitment of industry to the region. The NC East Alliance is at the front of this coordination.
Wesley Beddard is with us. We know Wesley from his days as president of Martin Community College, but he retired there in December. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you.
Great.
Wesley is now the part of the STEM East leadership team with NC East Alliance. And your role is pretty much to be the liaison to community colleges to try to get this program rolling through community colleges, right?
Yes, absolutely. We have 16 community colleges that are in our footprint, and so I'm working with them, having them join us, coordinating their efforts with them, because, you know, this initiative, and we know most of the better jobs now require something beyond high school. They may not require a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, but it requires some training. So we think community colleges are the key for doing what we're trying to do in eastern and northeastern North Carolina.
Community colleges are so impressive, and don't get the credit they deserve or the funding they deserve from the state.
Absolutely.
I've been in meetings the last couple of weeks with Scott Rawls from Wake Tech, who, of course, was president of the state community college system, and of course at Craven before that.
My former boss.
Yeah. We got to know Scott when he was in New Bern. He's done an awesome job. Now he's running Wake Tech, and we're working with him on some broadcast programming.
Yes.
But anyway, so this new injection of cash that's come from the state budget last year into the NC East Alliance is allowing you to start some new programs, and I love what your group is doing with it because, you know, kind of simply stated, you're trying to use that to educate kids and also work on them to get them opportunities in Eastern North Carolina rather than having to go off to Raleigh or Charlotte. We just had that Wall Street Journal story where Raleigh is now ranked 14th in the country for job opportunities. But there's so many job opportunities in Eastern North Carolina. And let me tell you, the cost of living here versus the cost, because my daughter lives in Raleigh. The cost of living in Raleigh is becoming one of the highest in the country.
Absolutely. And in Eastern North Carolina, students hear the reports that, you know, Raleigh's this and Charlotte's that and San Antonio's this, and they often think, I have to leave. And sometimes they're hearing it from people in their own communities. But they're phenomenal jobs in Eastern North Carolina. So two things we hope to do, and the third I'll talk about is the way we're doing it. Our best and brightest often feel they have to leave, and that's the tragedy because they're phenomenal jobs here, and we just have to make them aware of the jobs that are here. But also, we have those that are staying that often don't have the skill set they need that employers are looking for. So we need to attack both of those. We need to let our best and brightest young people know there are phenomenal careers in Eastern and Northeastern North Carolina. And those that are staying, they're great jobs. Here's the skill set you need so you can be competitive for those jobs and land those really great jobs that help pay family sustaining wages. And the cost of living in Eastern North Carolina makes it so much better. I moved to Martin County from Johnston County, and the difference in housing prices is just phenomenal. So our dollars
Johnston County is now part of the Raleigh metro.
It absolutely is. And what we're doing, our approach is a little different. To reach students, we're going through educators. We're making sure the educators know, hey, what happens in that business? What are they doing over there? Get inside the fence, get inside the building and see, because they think, oh, that's a manufacturing facility. I don't want good people to go work in there because they think it's, you know, way back from the 60s manufacturing, and now it is just so different than it was. And they're technicians that work in there. They're just not laborers, they're technicians. But you need a skill set.
And they make good money.
They make incredible money. So we won't, and we know that educators are a conduit to reach students. So we want to make sure the educators know so they can share with students. And so many of them have such a strong influence on what students choose to do post high school. So we want to have them be a part of the influence network that positively influences students to stay in Eastern North Carolina and be contributors to our Eastern North Carolina economy.
We've talked before. I know when Ethan Linker was here last month, we talked a little about some of the jobs that are available. But can you kind of give us some of the jobs that we're talking about here? I know we talked about the incredible program down in Havelock at Cherry Point.
Yes.
That needs skilled workers.
Yes, and just 2 weeks ago, I was up in Elizabeth City. Actually, I was in Currituck County, and College of the Albemarle has an aviation program up there, and they pretty much, the Coast Guard has up in Elizabeth City pretty much the same thing that FRC East has down in Havelock.
I've been through the Elizabeth City aviation program. That's pretty amazing.
It
you
is.
can go to college and learn how to fly a big airplane.
And you can also go up there and learn how to service all of those aircraft, and they do a ton of that. So, but those opportunities, I've lived in Eastern North Carolina all my life. I knew about FRC and Cherry Point down in Havelock. I didn't know about the jobs up in northeastern North Carolina, in Elizabeth City area, in the exact same thing. Well, if I've been in this for a long time and I've been in higher education and I don't know about it, how's a first-generation college student going to know about those things?
Yeah.
Or a high school student that's not sure if they want to go to college? How will they know unless we're able to get that information to them?
We keep hearing that there are a couple of huge job announcements coming in Greenville, and I know they got delayed.
Yes.
My understanding was it got delayed once because Roy Cooper couldn't be here because Biden was going to be in Raleigh. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that's what I was told. And I hear it's coming soon. And you're talking about Greenville getting ready to add huge numbers of jobs.
Absolutely.
Which is really exciting news on many levels. It won't be exciting on Friday afternoon on Greenville Boulevard when we add another 10,000 people in Greenville. But we're getting ready to have some other jobs that are going to be available here. And these are going to be STEM kind of jobs.
Absolutely. And what we want to do is use the network of all our community colleges and our K-12 partners, because Pitt County doesn't have all the workers that these new companies are going to need, because they already have a large manufacturing base. So we're going to have to go outside of Pitt County. We're going to have to reach into Martin and Edgecombe and Hertford and Bertie and Greene and all of these counties. And that's what community colleges want to do. And that's why this 29 county effort that encompasses all of eastern and northeastern North Carolina, we all want to work in partnership for that, rather than everybody saying, oh, we only want to train jobs in our area. No, we want to train jobs for the region. We want to keep people in the region. If we keep them in the region, that rising tide will lift all our communities. And that's what we're really trying to do through NC East.
I love this philosophy. I know when Todd Edwards first told me about it, you know, and what you guys are doing, I thought, man, this could be the most significant economic thing that I've heard in Eastern North Carolina maybe ever, because we are losing young people that don't want to live here. Well, I don't say they don't want to live here, that they think they can't live here.
Absolutely. That's the key.
But you know, you could make a salary that's probably 70% or 65% of what you're making in Raleigh and bring more money home.
Have more money at the end of the week. Absolutely. And that's what we want to do. And I tell you, that's why, you know, when I announced my retirement, my wife said, okay, let's travel. And my traveling has been all over Eastern North Carolina, going to 16 community colleges so far.
That was before Todd got a hold of you.
Yeah, but this is important. I mean, I feel so. I'm from Pitt County. I'm from Aden. I've been in Eastern North Carolina.
I did not know that.
Eastern North Carolina most of my life, so I bleed Eastern North Carolina, and I want to see it successful. So when this opportunity came up, I said, okay, I'm on it. And I'm so excited about it that I shared it with my wife. She even volunteered she helped with the registration at Vision 2024. And that was after she's thinking we were going to hit the road and travel everywhere. So she's excited about it too. And the more people we talk to, they're just saying, this is phenomenal. This is what we need to do as a region, to market ourselves as a region, to make sure students know and employers know, hey, we're going to keep the workforce here and we're going to provide you with trained workers. And that's what we really want to do.
So your role is going to be to coordinate all these programs with community colleges.
Absolutely. We want to engage them. I've gone around and met with teams from every community college. I've got 2 more to go in our region, but met with them and tell them what we're about. But I've also asked them, what do you need us to do? Because I want to make sure we're serving our community colleges. So I asked them, what are 5 things we can do to help you advance STEM and technical education in our region? And they're sending me their list. And I just sent my list to Todd Edwards and Van Rogerson last week, and I'm going to talk about it next week. Say, here's what community colleges need us to do, so we'll really start moving into an action plan to really help them do what they need to do. So overall, everything we do through NC East reaches young people and helps develop our economy in Eastern and Northeastern North Carolina.
Wesley Beddard, who, of course, former president of Martin Community College, now part of the STEM East leadership team. I love that, STEM East. That's part of the NC East Alliance.
You've been listening to East Rising right here on Talk 96.3 and 103.7. This has been a service of the NC East Alliance and Innerbanks Media. Tune in each Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 7 p.m. or listen as a podcast on the free IBX Media app available on the App Store or Google Play Store.